I am Carl Berkovitz. I represent Mrs. Jones. About 2 years ago, my client was stopped for red light. And the defendant just came driving down and for some unknown reason just runs into the back of my client's car. Good honesty. We'll be asking for that from each and every one of you in a few minutes when we have a chance to talk. I only get 3 minutes here. We're suing the defendant for negligence and for some neck and back pain. Now, this is not a rollover motor vehicle collision, where you look at the property photographs and you think, wow, did somebody survive? What happened? It's almost shocking to look at the vehicles. This is not one of those cases. This is what is commonly referred to as a fender bender. You can look at photographs of this vehicle. There's not a scratch on the rear bumper. You're not going to see any damage whatsoever. Property damage estimate is 0. None. So I want to be upfront with you and this is the only thing I want you to think about in your minds and answer. Are you going to have a problem my asking you for pain and suffering damages in the future on a no scratch, low speed motor vehicle collision? That's what I want you to think about. And so my question is, I'm just looking for a fair fight. I want to know if you're going to have any problem, this stirs up anything inside of you, that my client is not injured. The defense in this case, you're going to hear from the defense, they're going to say my client's a liar, cheat, and fake. So I'm going to ask you and share with you right now that if looking at these property damage photographs, not a scratch, if you believe my client is a liar, cheat, and a fake, I'm going to ask you to send my client out that door without a penny. She deserves nothing. Thank you very much.
You ready?
This is what we've been waiting for.
This is supposed to be a legal thing, okay? Yes, I'm ready. Yes, I'm ready.
Yeah, I think you did a great job. But I would be a problem. You would want me out, because there's no damage. There's not even damage to the vehicle. There's no what was the impact? According to you so far, there's none. You want me out because I just think it's BS.
Why did you laugh when he said liar, cheat, and fake?
Because he knows how to. I think that's funny, and he knows how to tell a story. I mean, he's pausing a little bit, looking around at people. He knows how to story tell. So, but I think it's baloney.
And Dexter?
I gotta give it up to the OG, to the OG lawyer. Cause see, when you came up here, everybody should have took note to that. That was perfect. It's like you've been doing this forever. I sat there, I was all intrigued. Like,
This is my first case.
No, I can't
My
tell.
first case.
You're the Anthony Hopkins of lawyers right now when it comes to, that was really good. Everybody should know that. I think probably the closest person that came to your delivery was this gentleman right here. You two guys, if you were on my team, I'm getting off. I'm getting
You
off.
should call them.
But he's my mentor. He's
Yeah,
my mentor.
you guys are really, really good. Very poignant, very, very serious. Everything you said, you meant it. You know what I mean? And I love the way you brought the chair in and for description purposes. Remember now, this is just a fender bender, but for God's sakes, she was hurt. I get it. So I was impressed by it.
Okay. And Yodi?
Well, yeah.
What's her name?
You changed her name right now.
Willa.
Yeah.
No, it's like watching an actor on stage. You knew you had our attention. You took your time dragging that chair over. So you had that attention. You had everybody looking at you like, what's he up to? What's he doing? Like your delivery, you definitely have confidence, but it was a little too slow for me a little bit. I'm like, okay, get on with it, please. What else is coming? Yeah. But that's all.
I didn't feel like you sold
Speak
it.
up,
I
speak.
said I don't think you sold it for me.
Okay.
I thought that you didn't put me in the place of her or of your client. I felt that I didn't really see where she really got hurt. It was like a low impact. I mean, if you had said, something like, sure, there's no damage, but, we're not talking about like steel, we're talking about soft tissue.
Okay.
And so, and the liar cheating thing, that was funny the first time, but not so much the second.
Second time, okay.
Okay, I like the props. Thank you for not slamming one of the chairs into the other one, you remember?
Yes. I think you remember too.
I had it all set up to get the roller cart and I decided not to do
But Sue's gonna
it.
be here.
Okay.
The other things I would think would help the case would be, was there damage to the car in the rear? Were there skid marks? And how many miles per hour was the car judged to have been going? You didn't say any of that, so that would be stuff I do like the thing that the soft tissue, that's a good point.
And one thing I would have added, just briefly, that I didn't, is I would have said, I am saying, if you think my client's a liar, cheat, and fake, kick her out of the courtroom. Give me some feedback just on that I would say, kick her out of the courtroom, she doesn't deserve a penny.
It's dramatic. Some people are intrigued by that. So it comes from experience, and it's a way to capture people.
But not everybody can do it.
Does it say anything about me?
You feel confident
I'm
in
saying,
someone, yeah.
kick my client out of the courtroom. What does that say about me?
Basically, you're trying to say I wouldn't represent a dishonest client. So if you feel that way, don't
You agree with that, what he's saying? Anybody?
And I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in the credibility of the person I'm representing.
Okay. Do I gain a little credibility? Is it irrelevant? I get a little trust? I'm saying I welcome you. It's your duty to kick her out of this courtroom. She deserves a penny. Does that?
Makes sense.
I have confidence in that.
It doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't really speak to me.
Okay.
I would respond more to I can tell you I wouldn't represent a liar, cheat, fake. You know what I mean? And I hope you see that.
Okay, good.
But
That was-
sometimes you have to be dramatic to get that point across.
Okay.
Kick her out if you want.
Well, I agree with Amy. It was a little bit of a turn-off for me. If you're representing a client, you wouldn't even want to mention kicking her out, she's lying, whatever. I don't know, for me, I'm more conservative side, so I would prefer more confident you'll climb, more positive, you know, more confident in your
Okay.
climb.
Do
Okay.
you
Thank you.
think, do any of you think you spend too much time talking about the negatives? Like, you know how I asked Sue earlier, or how Sue said earlier, she said 20%, negative 80%. Like, let's say Carl said, look, the defense is gonna show you pictures, they're gonna minimize it, there's no damage. But you know, you're gonna hear from my client, her friends, she was hurt, she wasn't having this pain before, regardless of damage or not. She's a human, not a piece of metal.
Yeah, you know,
Tell me what you
yeah.
think about that later. Would that have made a difference to any of you guys if he approached it that way?
Yeah,
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
Making, you humanize it, you know.
Yeah.
Kathy, is there any way he could convince you that even though there's no damage, you can still be injured by making an analogy to say like football players or any other injury?
What about an egg carton? When you
Oh,
get the
yeah.
egg from the from the grocery store, you always look. Everybody always looks to see because there could be some broken egg in there, even though the carton looks totally normal. And is it possible that the car could look okay, but the thing inside, the person inside, is not okay and it's broken?
They're interested.
Um,
That's why I asked.
One thing that you just said struck me because I think of Inky Johnson. That you could be hit, you know, on a football field and have an internal injury and not, you know, I don't know, your bone's not sticking out or something. But I think what Carl's doing is an intro. So he has me intrigued on the intro, but I don't think he would want me as a juror.
Well, that's my point, is it's an introduction, and then in 30 minutes, the judge says, okay, Mr. Berkowitz, now you could get up and talk about what I suggested in my mini opening. See, what I'm trying to do is inflame you to think nobody gets injured, and then I can talk to you. Well, tell me about that. You said it's baloney. I heard you say, you said it was baloney. Tell me more about that. And
Could you go right into voir dire so we know how it flows after the mini opening? I mean, you could do it.
okay, we can do it. We only have like how many minutes? We have to do it real quick.